This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Score Energy Drinks. Women's rugby assistant coach at Eersterivier Rugby Football Club, Alexandria Joseph. Alexandria, fantastic to see you on the line. How are things with you?
Hi there, JP. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Yeah, it's a first time. It's a first time for us. Nice to have you here, Alexandria. Let's start at the beginning. We've got to ask you, how did you, before we start talking about Eersterivier and all the activities that you're busy there with, because we know that your chairman Pedro April was of course on the show with us last week, and he gave us a whole story of what the club has been busy with. How did you get started in rugby?
Yes, well, JP, the thing is, I started off with a dying passion for rugby in general, and I was first the manager of the Eersterivier women's rugby team, and I saw what a difference the other coaches are making, and I thought, why not myself do a coaching course last year, and I just applied for the assistant coach.
So you went to Western Province Rugby and did the coaching courses that they have there, and that's what got you started. Did you find it a challenge? Was it difficult to do?
No, not at all, JP. It was quite interesting actually to learn everything, and I was the only female coach there.
So then, of course, you came back to Eersterivier, and then you had to start applying it. I suppose that if you were the manager, I mean, what sort of lessons did you take from that, having been the team manager before and then becoming the coach?
Well, there wasn't much of a difference actually, because I knew the girls. I started with them from the beginning, so it was quite easy to settle in with them. They took a while to get used to me as being not the manager but the coach. They still don't call me coach yet, but we're getting there. It's still a challenge. I'm learning with the girls as we go along.
Is it do the girls enjoy it? Tell us a little bit about the team.
Yes, they enjoy it very much. They love this rugby thing. They can't wait to get started again. Our team started with just 5 girls, and we've been growing ever since. Before lockdown, we were about 25 girls.
And before the lockdown, of course, I mean, how often do you guys train, and what sort of activity do you have? I mean, obviously you've got rugby practice, but tell us a little bit more about the activities.
Yes, well, we practice Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays between 5, 6, or 7, depending on the hours the girls are working or school times, because many of our girls are at school or working. So we base our times according to them. And also our girls, we mostly do team building activities with them to keep them together, the bonding spirit.
What would you say are the challenges? I mean, what's the toughest part? I mean, how do you do that? How do you combine team practices like that?
Well, it is fairly difficult to do that, but we try our very best to do what we can. And also we make it fun for the girls. Recruitment is our biggest friend at the moment.
Now, when we spoke to Pedro April last week, of course, the chairman there at Eersterivier, he was telling us a little bit about some of the clubs that you guys compete against in Western Province. The rugby structures in Western Province from a women's rugby point of view seems to be quite exciting.
Yes, we are at the B level with teams such as UCT, CPUT, Makassar, Eersterivier. Those are the teams that we played. Matis as well, we've played against them. The structure is quite interesting, but I'd like for it to be a bit different this year, or let's say next year rather, a bit more competitive side of things.
Now, when we were talking to Pedro last week, we also saw that you guys have been busy with an outreach project, and that was one of that in fact was how the conversation started. And we saw the pictures of the outreach project, and there was a number of women's rugby players in the team. Tell us a little about that.
Yes, our ladies are always very eager to help with these outreach projects. Just last year, before Christmas, we did a Christmas drive with a club, and it was very successful. We got to feed families that don't have any food or any gifts to give to their children. And this year we got to do this food drive with the guys again. and give out food in the Kleinvlei community. Our girls are always eager to help out in the community.
What comes next for you now? Of course, we're hoping that we've got some relaxation on the regulations, and that people are again able to start maybe training a little bit more, and so on. We wait to see what the announcements are. But over the next 6 months, let's say, what are the kind of activities that you're looking forward to for the women and for the women's team at Eersterivier? What are your plans?
Well, our first priority is recruitment, definitely. And then we'll start with our pre-season training, getting the girls into the swing of things, teaching our new girls how to do the basic skills of rugby. Also a bit of team building exercises we have planned. Our program is quite extensive for next year.
Alexandria, obviously the question that I've got to ask, and in fact we interviewed Babalwa Lacha Bibi, the Springbok women's rugby team captain and Western Province rugby team captain, who I'm sure you know. We spoke to her a few weeks ago, and she's an inspiration to women's rugby, and of course we look forward to her, or many kids following in her footsteps. But if people want to join, or if women and girls want to join Eersterivier women's rugby side, how do they do it if recruitment is your big goal?
Well, they can join us on our Facebook group. We have 2 at the moment, one for Eersterivier women's rugby team, and then we have the Eersterivier Rugby Club 2020 to 2021.
Are there any specific schools or neighborhoods that you want to mention, so people that are listening right now, or at least watching right now, will know that if they're at that school or live in that area, that they can join? We obviously know that it's in the Eersterivier area.
Yes, areas such as Rosedale, Forest Village, Forest Heights, Kleinvlei community, the Forest Glade community, we all around, even Mufuleni can join us.
Fantastic. Alexandria, we'll leave it at that, and we'll say goodbye to you now, and of course we'll hope to catch up with you soon.
Thank you, JP.
There we go, folks. Alexandria Joseph, of course, Eersterivier assistant coach. Fantastic stuff, folks. There you go. If there are any women or girls in the area who want to join, become a women's rugby player, then jump on Facebook and go do a search there for the Eersterivier women's rugby side, and reach out to Alexandria and the team and sign up, get started, start playing rugby.
This Cape Rugby TV feature is brought to you by Score Energy Drinks.